If you're looking for the start to finish roadmap to learn SQL, then this is the video for you. In this video, you'll learn where to start with learning SQL and what concepts to learn at a basic level, then an intermediate level, then an advanced level. If you want a copy of this roadmap diagram, check out the link in the description. Let's start with the basics. First, you'll need to know what a relational database is. You'll need to know about things like tables, rows, columns, and the fact that tables are related to each other. You don't need to know relational algebra, in my opinion, which is the concept that relational databases are based on. Then you'll need to know what SQL is, or structured query language, and what it's used for. Next is the select statement. You'll need to know what it does and how you would run a select statement on a table by specifying all columns or individual columns. There are many different relational database vendors, such as Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL, and Postgres. About 80% of SQL is common between these vendors, so if you're learning one vendor for this roadmap, the skills are easily transferable to others. Then you'll learn about the where clause and what it's for. Next comes operators, which are things like equals, not equals, and greater than. These are used in many places in SQL, especially in where clauses. Next, learn about order by, what it does and how it impacts your query. After that, I recommend learning about several different types of statements. We'll start with insert, which lets you add data to a table, then update, which updates data in a table, then delete, to remove data from a table. Speaking of tables, the next thing is to learn the create table statement and what it does. Related to that, you'll learn about the different data types available for columns and which ones to apply to the database vendor you're working on. Then you'll learn about joins, what they are, why use them, and how they work. And that's it for what I consider the basics of SQL. Let's move on to the intermediate level. You'll learn about aggregate functions in SQL, which include count, sum, min, max, and average. You'll learn how to use them and what they do. Next, you'll learn about the group by clause, why use it, and what it can do. Then you'll learn about the having clause, which is related to group by, why you would use it, and how it's different to the where clause. You'll then learn about the case statement, what it does, how it can help, and how to write one. After that, you'll learn how to manipulate tables using statements such as alter table and drop table. You'll also learn what truncate table is and why you would use it. Next, you'll learn how to call functions in your SQL. You'll learn what functions exist, what they do, and how to use them in SQL to manipulate your data. Then you'll learn about the concept of a primary key, why they exist, how they help, and how to define one on your table. You'll then learn about foreign keys, how they help, and also how to define one on your table. There are three other types of constraints that you'll learn about next, which are unique, not null, and check. After constraints, you'll learn about the concept of table aliases, how to add them and what they can help with. Then we have column aliases, what they are, how they can help, and how to add them. Next we have the concept of indexes. You'll learn what they are, how they can help, and how to create a simple index. Then we have a few other types of joins to learn about, which are self-joins and cross-joins. You'll learn why they are used and how to write them. Here is a good point where you can learn about creating an ERD if you haven't learned already. You can put together what you've learned about tables, primary keys, foreign keys, and data types and create an entity relationship diagram. Next, you'll learn about auto-increment features in your database, what they are for and how to use them. Then you'll learn about the operator keywords, such as in, exists, and between. You'll learn why you would use them and how to add them to your query. Next, you'll learn about the concept of a subquery, which is a significant piece of the SQL language. You'll learn what they are, why they can help, and how to use them. After that, you'll learn what a view is, why use one, and how to create one. That's the end of what I would consider an intermediate level of SQL. Let's move on to advanced SQL. Most of the concepts I've mentioned so far I cover in my online course, SQL Simplified, so if you want to learn SQL, then check out the link in the description. The first thing here is CTEs, or Common Table Expressions, which are, in my opinion, one of the most helpful and underused features of SQL. So learn what they are and why they can help. Next we have window functions, which are a powerful way of working with data. Learn what they are, why they can help, when to use them, and how to write them. Then we have set operators, what they can do, what the keywords are, and how to use them. Row limiting comes next, so learn what this is and how to write queries to use row limiting. Next, we have execution plans, which is a big area of your SQL journey. Learn what they are, how to display one in your chosen SQL editor and vendor, and how to read one. There's a lot to learn for execution plans, but focus on the basics for now. Then we have the concept of hierarchical data, what it means, why you would use it, and how to use it in your database. Related to that, we have recursive queries. You'll learn what they are, why to use them, and how to write one. Then we have temporary tables, what they are, why use one, and how to create them in your database. Next up, we have transactions. You should learn what they are, how they impact your SQL, and how to work with them. Related to transactions are isolation levels. Learn what they are, how they work, and how to change them in your vendor. Then we have bind variables. You should learn what they are, how they help your code and database, and how to add them to your query. Next, we have the concept of pivot and unpivot, what this means, and how to do it in SQL. After that, we have the merge command, which can be helpful in some situations. Learn what it is and how to use it. Then we move on to the data dictionary, where you should learn what it is, how to access it in your vendor, and what the different tables and views mean. We then have regular expressions. Learn what a regular expression is, how to write one and use it in SQL, and their related functions. Then you can learn about dynamic SQL, what this means and how it can be used. Up next is user and role management, where you'll learn what users, roles, and privileges are and how to work with them. That's the end of what I consider to be the Advanced SQL Roadmap. There are many things you can learn next. One of those is database administration, which involves things like monitoring, backups, and upgrades. If you want to go down that path, you can. Another option is learning about JSON data, and related to that, NoSQL databases. They are an alternative to relational databases, but most relational databases support JSON, so it can be helpful to learn. What did you think of this SQL roadmap? Is there anything missing, or is there anything that you think should be in a different category? Thanks for watching.